So the Israelis, they have gone and killed a veteran journalist at Al Jazeera, right? Her name is Shireen Akleh, and this is her picture. That's her. They killed her just 2 hours ago in cold blood. In cold blood. And I saw the video, and it is absolutely horrific. I cannot show it to you. Her whole face was gone. Her whole face gone. They blew her entire face off, and then they say she was killed in a clash. Yeah, the typical. Israeli forces shot and killed a senior Al Jazeera Arabic correspondent during an army raid on Wednesday in Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank, according to Al Jazeera and the Palestinian Health Ministry. So she was wearing a press vest, and she was shot in the head during her coverage of the incursion and was transferred to hospital where she was pronounced dead. Another journalist, Ali Asmoadi, was working for the Jerusalem-based Al-Quds newspaper, was also wounded by a gunshot and is in stable condition. They murdered her. You know, that's why in the title I did not say killed. This is murder, because the Israelis, they have a history. They have a habit of killing journalists. And she was clearly wearing press. It's absolutely enormous. And I saw them dragging her body with the face blown off. And it says press on it. It's very clear. And they shot her so precisely right in the face. This is the spot where she was killed. And you know, the Israelis, they've been raiding Jenin refugee camp in the West Bank for the past couple of weeks. And here's some of the video. You can see them during the raids this morning.
إذن استشهاد الزميلة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Hello.
So these are the Israelis. They come in and they're doing supposedly, you know, counterterrorism operations, right? As they like to call them. And that includes shooting female journalists in the face and you know, it's really disgusting. And she just went to do her job. She's just covering the raid. She's very, very famous journalist, you know, in the Arab world. Very, very, very famous. And I'll show you some of her clips in a moment. Middle East Eye reporter said she and a group of 6 journalists, which includes Abu Akleh, were together when they came under fire from Israeli snipers. And the group of journalists there to cover the raid came under fire at the main entrance to the Jenin refugee camp. And there was gunfight in the alleyways of the camp, but this area is far from the roundabout. Fighters don't go there because there is no cover, and far from the house of the person Israeli forces wanted to arrest. Al Jazeera said multiple eyewitnesses confirmed that Shireen was shot shortly after arriving in Jenin refugee camp, and that there had been no fighting in the area. So that's the moment Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was pronounced dead after being shot by the Israelis. And it's really upsetting, you know? You can see, you see how all her colleagues, they're all wearing the vests, and it's marked press. It's so, you know, on the back, on the front, it's so crystal clear. It's so crystal clear that they are journalists, and they purposely target them. That's her. I believe that this photo is from this morning, but I'm not sure. What I can tell you is I saw the video where she after she was killed. And she's wearing the press vest. So you know, there's no mistake about what she's doing and who she is. And this is also from, I think, an hour ago, 2 hours ago. People mourning. So they draped her body in a Palestinian flag. I just want to show you the really kind of gutter journalism, the despicable lack of reporting about her death from all of these Western outlets and corporate press. How they're purposely trying to hide that she was killed that she was murdered by the Israelis. Look at these headlines. In the New York Times, they say Al Jazeera said one of its journalists was killed in the West Bank, city of Jenin, during clashes between Israeli forces and Palestinian gunmen. What the hell is this? What the hell is this? Clashes every time. Clashes? Really? Like, they're trying to both sides the issue. Like, oh, it was Israeli forces and there were Palestinian gunmen and she was caught in the middle. Really? That's interesting. Why aren't all of her other colleagues shot dead? Huh? This is ridiculous. They always have to blame this, like, on both sides to kind of hide the fact that you have Israelis oppressing the Palestinians, singling them out. They know full well these are journalists. This is ridiculous. The idea that the Palestinians would fire at their journalists that are also Palestinian. This is ridiculous. This is from NBC News. They say Al Jazeera journalist fatally shot while covering Israeli raids in the city of Jenin. They don't tell you Israel shot her and killed her. They say she was fatally shot. She was fatally shot. Ronald McDonald just came and fatally shot her while she was working. Like, as if it's some kind of something that happened on the side, you know? She's fatally shot. We don't know why. We don't know by who. With Axios, look at the headline that they put. They say Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Akleh has been fatally shot while covering an Israeli military incursion. Again, who shot her? Why won't you say that she was killed by the Israelis? Why do they always hide this? Why do they always hide this? They always use this passive language. Do you think if the Russians had shot a Ukrainian journalist in the face, a woman, that they would have trouble telling you that in the headlines? Do you think they would have trouble spelling that out to you? Or they would use this passive language? Oh, you know, this Ukrainian journalist was fatally shot while covering an exchange of fire between. They would never say that. You know this. You know this. Don't lie. Don't kid yourself. Here, the Jerusalem Post, they say, in footage from the scene, heavy gunfire was heard, and in one video, a Palestinian said they had struck an IDF soldier. IDF spokesperson later told Khan public broadcaster that he didn't think Israeli forces killed her. Of course he's going to say that. You know why? Because he's the spokesperson for the Israeli occupation forces. Obviously, he's not going to say, yes, we blew her face off and shot her in the face. Of course, he's not going to say that. This is so disgusting. The way that they lie and they try to hide what happened. It's really, really horrible. And I want to show you some testimonies from her colleagues. So this guy, Ali from Al Jazeera staff, says, Israeli soldiers shot at us directly without provocation. One bullet hit me and another hit Shireen. They killed her in cold blood. They're specialized in killing us.
انه احنا كنا داخلين نصور عمليه الجيش صح فجاه واحد اطلقوا النار علينا ما طلبوش منا نطلع ما طلبوش منا نوقف اطلقوا النار علينا الرصاصه الاولى اصابتني الرصاصه الثانيه اصابت شيرين وقتلوها بدم بارد لانهم هم
Yep. قتلوها بدم بارد. They killed her in cold blood.
تجمعنا انا وزملائي الصحفيين في نقطه قريبه جدا من الجيش جهزنا حالنا لابسين كل المعدات خوذي.
He said we were close to the army. We were all wearing the press and the helmet, everything, like the clothes and the symbols.
من شوي شلحت الخوذة الواقي انتظرنا شيرين تاتيجي هي وزميلنا علي كنا في المقدمة أنا وزميلتي شدة حنايشي وصلنا كشفنا حالنا للجيش بعد ما كشفنا حالنا للجيش تقدمنا أمتار معدودة بجانب مصنع البلوك أبو صواي بس وصلنا مصنع ابو سواي صار اطلاق نار بكلهم علينا اطلاق النار لفيت وجي اطمن عليهم ناديت الكيد شيرين على الارض الكيد.
He said they started shooting at us, just shooting all over. I turned around and I saw Shireen was hit.
شدا اطلاق نار عليها احتميت بصور بعد ما احتميت بصور صار اطلاق نار علينا بعد ما صار عملية اطلاق النار علينا ضل حاولنا نسعف في شيرين ما قدرنا نسعفها شدا مش قادر تصلها وهي على بعد سنتيمترات انا تحت السور واطلاق النار علينا الاحتلال استهدف شيرين وهي لابسه الخوذه الاصابه تحت الاذن تحت.
He said the occupation, meaning the Israelis. In Arabic, we don't say the Israeli army, the Israeli police. It's the قوات الاحتلال, the occupation forces, because they are occupiers from Europe, from wherever. They're foreigner occupiers. And he said they purposely targeted Shireen and they shot her in the head, in the face, while she was wearing the helmet. What I'm doing right now, I have gathered news for you, and I'm showing it to you. I'm reporting to you on what just happened, and I'm showing you the testimony from the people with her. You think these guys who've literally just been shot at, they have nothing better to do than to make up stories? You're not. When you are in a state of shock like that, mentally and physically, you don't go and start making up fairy tales. Okay, you have several of her colleagues who saw what happened. They're all saying the exact same thing, that they were all wearing the clearly marked press. The Israelis saw them and they shot at them.
النار ما توقفوا. الشباب كانوا مش قادرين يوصلوا لها من الجهه الثانيه، يعني الشباب كانوا بيحاولوا انه يوصلوا، وحتى الجب اللي نقلها، يعني المركب الخاصه اللي نقلتها بصعوبه قدرت توصلها. في شاب قفز من جدار ونزل سحبني انا، وبعديها سحب شيرين وصار يسحب فيها. فهذا الشيء اللي يعني اللي خلانا نتاكد انه كان في استهداف لنا كصحفيين.
كنتوا ماشيين بشكل جماعي، بمعنى
كنا مجموعه من الصحفيين،
المفروض انه وسيله حمايه مع
كنا كلياتنا لابسين الزي الصحفي، كلياتنا كنا نرتدي لحد الان. انا لحد هذه اللحظه انا مرتدي الزي الصحفي، كنا لابس. حتى شيرين كانت لابسه الخوذه، يعني كانت لابسه الخوذه على راسها. واضح يعني اللي قتلها يعني كان قاصد انه يصيبها في مكان هي ظاهر من جسمها مش مرتديه فيه الخوذه. فيعني انا بعتبر اللي حدث هو جريمه اغتيال إلنا، وفعليا انا.
So she's saying that was basically, you know, an attempted murder on them, and whoever shot Shireen, like really intentionally tried to hit her where she wasn't covered, because they knew that she's wearing the helmet and she's wearing the vest, and it's all very clear. And they shot her right here. I mean, from what I saw in the video, it's absolutely horrible. Her whole face is gone. I have a really hard time believing that this is a typical round. This looks like something for, you know, for piercing armor or so. It's crazy. It's really it's not even like, oh, we shoot them in the leg and then we find out who they are. No, it's just in the head, in the face. That is so precise and intentional. There is no doubt about this. And you see here, she's still wearing her press thing, all of them, and they're all saying the exact same thing. They all, all of her colleagues are saying that Shireen was purposely targeted. They shot at all of them on purpose.
في مكان هي ظاهر من جسمها مش مرتديه فيه الخوذه. فيعني انا بعتبر اللي حدث هو جريمه اغتيال إلنا، وفعليا انا يعني برجع باكد انه لو كنا احد يعني انا او الزميل مجاهد حاول انه يقرب، كان ممكن يتم استهدافه برضه بشكل مباشر.
It's really upsetting, and here you see things like this. The Israeli military said she may have been shot by Palestinians. Wow. So they're really so disgusting, the media, and this attempt by the Israelis to say, no, we didn't shoot her, the Palestinians shot her. This is from the Palestinian ambassador to the UK. He said, Israeli occupation forces assassinated our beloved journalist Shireen Abu Akleh while covering their brutality in Jenin this morning. Shireen was most prominent Palestinian journalist and a close friend. Now we will hear the quote-unquote concerns of the UK government and the international community. That's it. You'll hear concerns. We express concerns. Here's another tweet. Shireen isn't just an Al Jazeera journalist. She's also a Palestinian born in Jerusalem. She was killed by the very forces that occupy and have stolen the homeland she dedicated her life to reporting on. May she rest in peace, and may we uplift her legacy. Here's another tweet. It says they killed her. They killed Shireen Abu Akleh. They shot her in the head, a reporter with a lifetime of telling truth and exposing their crimes. I'm devastated. Palestine has lost an icon. She was executed wearing her vest, doing her job. Rest in peace, courageous one. Here are some videos of her that I just wanted to show you. Just random videos of her doing her job, reporting. She's very famous. And always covering, you know, Palestinian issues with great care and detail and insight.
بتخريب وتدمير جدرانه الداخلية في شهر آذار الماضي، وذلك ضمن سياسة الانتقام التي تمارسها سلطات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي.
It's stuff from her reporting. Man.
عن بدء منع التجول في رام الله الليلة الساعة 10 بالليل. اليوم شو التاريخ اليوم؟ احنا اليوم 22/3 اليوم الأحد، وهلأ مجموعين على مصورة. كيف نقلبها؟ مش عارفة. فهذه اسمها ليلة الوداع.
العشاء الأخير.
If I'm not mistaken, I get the impression she's Palestinian Christian, right? Because I saw when they were carrying her body. It's so unbelievable, and you see things like this. Like Al Jazeera says that the reporter was killed by Israeli army gunfire, like as if it's like some kind of myth or fairy tale. Like Al Jazeera saying that. We don't know if it's true. Really, you're funny. They're really funny, and they act like this is not something that we have seen before, and how Israel is purposely targeting journalists all the time. Just 2 weeks ago, I showed you how they were beating a Palestinian journalist who was filming outside the Aqsa Mosque. Never mind the killings, right? So in 2014, in the war with Gaza, I don't even remember how many journalists they killed, and medics, right? It's too many to count. This is nothing new. This should not surprise you. This should not surprise you. Of course they kill journalists. You know why? Because they don't want journalists exposing their brutality. And the sick, disgusting irony here is that Shireen, her job was covering the Israeli crimes, exposing the Israeli crimes, and then they murdered her for doing that, and the mainstream media cover for the Israeli crimes, right? Even when they kill her, they continue to cover. I'm really so angry about this. Like, every single day they are killing Palestinians. They don't leave anyone alone. The journalists, the medics, the worshippers, the Muslims, the Christians. Is there anyone that the Israelis have not beaten or killed? I'm so angry and upset every single day seeing this stuff. It's so egregious. They're so disgusting and indiscriminate, you know? They have no respect for human life. They treat Palestinians like they are ants. They just crush them every day. And they talk about, oh, we're a democracy. We're the only democracy in the Middle East. And then they go and blow journalists' fucking faces off. And the Western media, all they do is give them a pass. Oh, Al Jazeera said that she was killed by the Israelis. Maybe she was killed by Palestinians. She was fatally shot. By who? Space invaders? Like, but who shot her? Mickey Mouse? What the fuck kind of reporting is that? What is this? If that was a Ukrainian woman that was shot, you wouldn't have any problem saying the Russians shot her in the face. They killed a journalist. They don't respect freedom of the press. Why do you lack the vocabulary and the clarity to report on what happened? The Israelis killed her. They murdered her. They saw very clearly she's a journalist, and they deliberately shot her in the face. How can you justify this? How can you justify this nonsense? Where are all these women's rights, women groups, right? They always talk about feminism. When they're massacring Palestinian women and their babies, all of a sudden they're nowhere to be found. They've fucked off into the wind. How convenient, you cowards. You bloody cowards. Where are all these press freedom groups? How much do you want to bet? Because when they publish the next press freedom index, they won't include her death in the number of Palestinian journalists killed. Will they even write Palestine? Occupied Palestine? What will they write? These cowards. The whole Western apparatus, the mainstream media and the NGOs, they're good for nothing. They're good for nothing. They're massacring people every single day. It really makes me so angry. It really makes me so angry. I cannot believe that they allow this. You know, if someone else had done that, they would be putting sanctions on them and all sorts of things. And then you know what they will come out with? This is if they even admit that the Israelis killed her. They'll say, oh, we express concern. Not even thoughts and prayers. Just, oh, we express concern. Shove it up your ass. Your concern. You are so, and I'm really angry. I'm really angry because there's no respect here for the Palestinians. You know, I don't know anyone who suffers like this on a daily basis. Who would tolerate this? Who could tolerate this kind of behavior every single day? So there we go. We have another veteran, another OG, one of the best Palestinian journalists, one of the best Arabic journalists. It's gone like that. And they made all these obituaries and eulogies and nice nice vigils for all the journalists killed in Ukraine. Fine, by all means, sure. Even me. You remember when the first ones were killed, Brent Renault, and another guy, I think from the New York Times, they were killed, the first two to be killed in Ukraine. Did I not come live with you and express sadness about that and cover it and show you? I did. And I don't like the mainstream media. I think they're liars. But that doesn't change that they're humans, these guys. And one of them was just a cameraman, not even really doing anything editorial. So you see the difference is that they'll come out, the New York Times and CNN, and they'll do all these nice vigils for the journalists that they like. And then when the Israelis kill someone like Shireen, they won't even mention it. They won't even admit that she was killed by the Israelis. Never mind make a vigil and remember her. You will never ever turn on CNN tonight and see them tell you and see them talk about this. You just, it's not happening. They won't ever give you honesty and clarity and tell you the truth. They don't want to report. They are really villainous. Truly villainous. This is a murder. This is a straight up murder, and I don't need. Both my parents, they worked in the UN. They saw how the Israelis in the peacekeeping. They saw how the Israelis are with journalists, with the UN staff themselves. They don't care. They will kill anyone. Go look. Don't take my word for it. Go look how they were killing UNIFIL, right? UN peacekeepers in Lebanon. They don't care. They will attack and threaten everybody. There is no limit. Israel is killing journalists. Israel is violating Syrian sovereignty and bombing Syria and committing acts of aggression against Syria and acts of aggression against the Palestinians 10 times, 100 times more every day. And they say nothing because they are the ones paying for this. The US, the UK, the European Union, they are the ones bankrolling Israel. They are the ones giving Israel its money. This is what the United States does, right? So when Ilhan Omar last year in July, she votes to give Israel $3.8 billion, that's what it goes to. It goes towards murdering journalists. And that's, of course, one aspect of the occupation. Never mind all the other affronts on the Palestinian people that we see day to day that I cannot even list because there are too many, right? That's what these progressives get you in the United States and in Europe. They're frauds, straight up frauds, right? Oh yeah, we support with the Palestinians. We stand with them. You have to be about it. What is this garbage that is coming out of your mouth? Why don't you actually grow some balls and grow a spine and really stand up for the Palestinians in the beast of the belly where you are? No, they won't do that because they're looking out for their careers. You can't criticize Israel in the media. You can't criticize Israel in Congress. You can't criticize Israel in Westminster. This is faux pas. You can't criticize Israel in Brussels. No. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. Oh, you're a terrorist sympathizer. Oh, you're being unfair. And this is how it goes on. 70 plus years of this garbage. These apologists for settler colonialism. This is what you get when you have a settler colony. They treat the occupied people like dirt. They don't even consider them as humans. So for them, when they're blowing off a Palestinian's head, this is fine because they don't see the Palestinian as equal or as a human. And then they talk about Western values and shared values. What shared values? I guess I see the shared values, in how you attack journalists in England and in the US and in Palestine. Sure, I see the shared values. I should say occupied Palestine. And I want to say one thing that maybe not a lot of people are going to think about, but her colleagues, so he was shot. He was hit by one bullet while Shireen was killed. And he was also shot at. And she was also shot at. These guys are probably going to have some kind of trauma. I really hope they don't, but is very, very likely, very possible they could have some kind of, mental scars from this. And how could you blame them, right? So it's not just they killed Shireen. They also, they took a part of the soul of all of her colleagues, her family, of course. I mean, her family, I don't even know what they are going through right now. That's what happens when you try to expose their brutality. and you try to report on Israeli crimes, they'll kill you for it. They will literally kill you or fire you or brand you an anti-Semite, ruin your career, smear you, all sorts of things. And there they can get away with it, right? Much more easily. Because they have the media to back them. This is what happens when you have such a behemoth behind you. New York Times, Reuters, doing the dirty work for you, you know? Again, I'm not saying everybody who works there is a bad person, but generally speaking, the conventional wisdom is that let's always give Israel the benefit of the doubt. And let's just say it's both sides, right? Trying to make it complicated. It's really, I cannot believe this. I bet you if you go to Shireen's body, or Ali over here, and you look at the bullet that's lodged in him or lodged in her, you will find Israeli munitions that the Israelis use, whether, I don't know, that's NATO rounds or whatever they use to fire at them. No question. Like, we're supposed to buy this excuse, but Palestinians are shooting. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.